Welcome this morning to our interview with Iva Paráková or Iva Paráková, one of our club members in the Club for Successful ELT Entrepreneurs, female ELT entrepreneurs who kick ass. Hello and welcome, Iva, to our interview.
Hello. I'm really happy to be here.
And today is a very special day because this is the first time when I am broadcasting our interview, not just into our private club, but also on LinkedIn. So I am very curious how it will go. And I got this idea this morning when I was informed by one of my colleagues that today is an International Podcast Day. And since I launched our podcast yesterday or 2 days ago already, 2 days ago, called Successful Women in ELT, I take up this challenge and let's do this live on LinkedIn as well. And Ivcha was all up for it as well, which is fantastic. So let's see how it goes technically. I hope it will be streamed on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, let's hope everything goes well.
So, Ivy, you are an English teacher, but also a translator and an interpreter. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. I like the combination of these three things, even though a lot of people might feel that it's completely different, and some people prefer to focus on just one thing. I really enjoy that I can do different things, that I can talk to people, that I can help other students feel more confident and speak English without any problems. And I also love that sometimes I don't have to talk to anyone and I can just translate and I can play with the text and choose different words and do a little bit of research and dive into fields I would normally have no idea they even exist, right? Because it's just, I don't know, translating something super specific. So and when it comes to interpreting, that's what I love the most. That's what I enjoy, because it's just it it's hard to I think it's hard for me to explain, but everyone who is an interpreter understands it, because it's just this moment of like concentration, when you concentrate like 100% and your brain cannot think about anything else because there's just no time and space for anything else. So that's what I love about it, like the flow and being fully present and focusing. So yeah.
Awesome. I had several courses at my uni many years ago where we practiced interpreting, and I admire everyone who does this because it's extremely demanding for your brain. Can you describe the challenge of interpreting? Because mostly those watching are English language teachers or language teachers, and they maybe don't have much experience with interpreting or any. What is it like before we go into teaching?
Well, I think it depends if we're talking about consecutive or simultaneous interpreting. Consecutive, that is what happens when the speaker says something and then you interpret it. Simultaneous is a little bit more challenging, where you're listening and speaking at the same time.
Yeah,
But
that one.
but that's what I love, right? Because your brain can only focus on that moment and on that thing that is happening. So it is definitely challenging, and of course you cannot do it for like 8 or 10 hours per day. No way. All professionals usually do it for like 15 or 20 minutes, and then they have a colleague who takes over. So it's not like, because some people might imagine, doing this for 8 hours, and of course that's not possible.
No.
But yeah, it's a huge challenge. It's definitely demanding, but I love it. So
So can you tell us a little bit more about who you are, where you are, and then we can talk more about your teaching experience and your clients and how you go about it. And
Yeah, for
we
sure.
already have one lady in the club watching. Hello and good morning, Anna.
Hello, hello. Of course, I can share a bit about where I am and how I do everything. I'm currently based in Prague. I moved to Prague after quite a long time in Olomouc and after some traveling. But I work online mostly. Of course, there are some events where some interpreting events where I have to be present, but I'm mostly work online, so that also gives me a chance to travel a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I often say that I live in Prague, though I'm not in Prague most of the time. And then people ask me why the hell I live in Prague.
Mm-hmm.
uh, but yeah, I like it here. I like the city and I like all the opportunities here. But at the same time, I escape the city as often as possible. I am a mountain person for sure. I
Mm-hmm.
need to go to the mountains at least once a month or even more. So that's what I love about being a freelancer as well, that I can combine it and that I can do it the way I like it, because I can work from, I don't know, I work from Austria, from Germany, from Italy, like from different countries. I can, my work is still the same, right? The quality is not affected in any way. I just need good internet and stable internet connection, and that's it. So yeah, I would say that's how I do it, and that's the way I like it.
And that's also something that definitely draws me to learn more about you and how you do your teaching business, how you go about it, because it's quite special. I don't know many language teachers who do it your way. So let's talk about it a little bit more later. I'd like to now start with your love for the English language or languages in general, because I know that you have been learning other languages as well. So, how many languages do you actually speak? And how did you fall in love with English? Because we are
Uh-huh.
here for
Uh-huh.
the English
Um,
language teaching
well, the languages
industry.
I actually speak, like can have a decent conversation in, that would be English and Russian.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I can have like a decent conversation in other languages, though I can speak, or I know a little bit of German and a little bit of Spanish. But
Mhm.
it's just, like ordering at a restaurant, or yeah, ordering a beer and having like really basic small talk. But that's probably it. I can speak Russian though. I love that language. I studied
Mhm.
Russian for some time as well. But of course, my biggest love is English, and
Mhm.
it's been that way for many years.
So how did it happen? How did you fall in love with English?
Actually, when it comes to me loving something, the
Mhm.
story, or becoming even obsessed with something, the story is always the same. I start doing something and I'm really bad at it. I suck at it, and I just, I get so frustrated, but by not being able to do it, that I practice and practice and practice, that I start enjoying it and I get better at it. So that's what happened with most of the things I do. That's what happened with English, with Russian as well, with a lot of sports that I started doing and then continued. So
All right. And do you also teach Russian or do you just teach English?
no, 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 no. I don't teach Russian because my level is not that good. And
Mhm.
I believe, I know that not all language teachers agree on this, but I believe if you want to teach a language, you should be really proficient, and your level should be really high. That's why I could never teach Russian, because I just don't feel confident enough doing it. Though, of course, probably I could teach like A1, A2 level students, but yeah, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing it.
So it's more like your hobby now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I'm in a very similar situation. I studied another language as well. I studied Dutch. I was even teaching it at the beginning of my teaching career because I was good at it, but that's been 20 years. And now it's just a hobby. I'm happy I can understand it. When I go there, I can talk to people, but teaching it, not really. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay, so
exactly.
let's talk about teaching English. When did you start teaching English and
Uh-huh.
where? Tell us more about that
I
situation at the beginning.
I thought you might ask this question, and
Mhm,
I was thinking about it, and actually,
mhm,
I don't really know when it all started because I think I need to give a little bit of background for this,
sure.
um, because everyone in my family is somehow connected to teaching or working with people. My grandma was a teacher, my mom is
Mhm.
a teacher, my brother and his girlfriend are both teachers. Also, my uncle is like a business coach slash mentor, and his partner is does improv and also coaches
Mhm,
people.
mhm,
So I don't know.
mhm.
I think it runs in the family, but we all somehow work with people. So I think it was really natural for me to choose this career and go this path because um, I started, I think, when I was 14, 15, just giving
That
lessons,
early.
to like friends,
Yeah,
someone who was struggling, someone who needed to speak English at work, and they just wanted to discuss like how distance work or something like that. But it was, I don't know, like one lesson per week, nothing, not being a teacher. I would not call myself a teacher. And I think I started like really teaching when I was 19, 18, 19. Yeah, when I started university. So
mhm,
when I
mhm.
was in my first year, I started working for some language school. The usual. They give you some course, just teach them, prepare them for their maturita exam, or prepare them for FCE. And I was like, okay, so I guess this is what I'm doing. So yeah,
And you
that's
always wanted to become a teacher since you started straight away from first year at uni?
um
Or was it to
actually.
support yourself financially?
Uh-huh. Actually, that's quite funny because I've always said that I don't ever, never ever. Yeah, I said I don't ever want to be a teacher. I said that.
Same, same story. Yeah. And then
uh, yeah, yeah, because I saw how hard it is because I
mhm,
saw my grandma and my mom, then also my brother dealing with all these problems because most people enjoy teaching, they enjoy working with children, but the system, that's what
yeah,
in our country is, I would say, is quite broken. And you have to deal with all the parents complaining and your boss who does not always support you and so on. So I would say that's the most difficult part about it.
yeah,
And that's why I also didn't want to go this way. That's why I
yeah.
said, yeah, I can imagine teaching, but I usually don't call myself a teacher because when I hear the word teacher, that's like pops in my head.
Učitelka, učitelka, jsi učitelka, že?
Yes,
Ne, jsi
exactly.
lektorka.
Exactly. So,
Okay, so you started at the age, like professionally, officially, at the age of 19. So now you have been teaching for quite some time because you are done with your uni studies. Yeah,
yeah.
you moved out of Olomouc. We studied at the same faculty. You actually didn't go to the faculty for teachers. You went to the Faculty of Arts.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I
Yeah,
went to Faculty of Arts because I did not study teaching. I
yeah.
studied English for translating and interpreting. So
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
I'm not like because and this is super cliche, and I know some people hate it, but I believe that teaching is not something you can learn how to do. I think you are born to be a teacher.
Yes,
I know it sounds super cliche, but
I
I
agree.
I believe it's true. I know some people who have been doing it for a really long time, and they studied like primary education, secondary education, whatever. They have a uni degree, but they don't really know what to do with either kids or adults. They're just, it's all so forced. And for me, it's just natural when I'm with one student or a group of students, when I'm with children or adults, I just, yeah, it just feels natural to me. So I think it's not something you can really prepare for, and you can always follow some rules or guidelines.
It's your personality, yeah? It's the
Yeah,
energy.
yeah,
You
yeah,
have to be a
definitely.
people person. You have to like people and be with
Exactly.
people, and you have to
Exactly.
be curious, and then you can be a good teacher even without ever stepping into the faculty for teachers. I believe
Yeah,
the same.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Mhm.
couldn't agree
But
more.
you can always keep learning and educating yourself about ways how to improve as a language teacher, as a service provider, and that doesn't necessarily have to happen at university, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
That's why
agree
you
with
are
that
also part of
100%.
this club, yeah? Because apart from being a supportive community, I like to see our club as a place where we learn more about teaching, not just freelancing, but also teaching, and we can move forward and become better teachers and educate ourselves and get inspired. That's the main thing. Get inspired by other teachers. So today you are here to inspire us, the others.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Evie, what is the situation now? Let's also introduce yourself to people outside of the club who don't know you. We know that you are a freelancer, right? Do you still teach for some schools, or what's your situation now?
No, 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 no. I'm a freelancer, and well, actually, like I've been a freelancer for 6 years. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think that's when I became self-employed. 2016. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So 6 years more or less. Um, and I, like a few years ago, I was working for some language schools, usually
Mm-hmm.
more than one. um but I lived in Olomouc, and it was quite difficult there because the prices are the same in all language schools. I don't want to name any of them, but I wouldn't say the conditions are ideal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I started looking for my own clients, my individual students. I don't teach at the moment. I don't really teach groups. I
Mm-hmm.
work with the individual students. I have one-on-one sessions. So
Mm-hmm.
um, and I think that started two years ago, more or less. Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
currently, I'm not working for any language school, though I work with Bronya and his Virtuální jazykovka, which I think is a great project. And there are so many great teachers. I would say the top teachers in the Czech Republic. So that's actually a great language school to be a part of. But we don't really call it a language school because it works in a bit different way. Um, so yeah, I have my own private clients, plus some students and clients from this Virtuální jazykovka.
Mm-hmm.
And also, yeah, then I do a little bit of translating and interpreting, and that changes a lot because clients come and go. So I think it's hard to say like I do like 50% of teaching and 50% of translating and
Mm-hmm.
interpreting. It changes. It's different every month. So I
And
can't really.
what's the typical amount of time that you spend with one client?
I think the longest. Well, I have one student, and we've been having lessons for 2 years almost. Yeah, and I think that's, I don't want to say my oldest student because that could offend her, but yeah, 2 years. That's the
Mm-hmm.
longest I've worked with someone for now. Then I have some regular students who I've been teaching for a year, more or less. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then
Mm-hmm.
some new ones. It depends because for some people, and that's also connected to the way I teach and to the way I approach it.
Hmm.
Because some people come with a really specific goal and they need to get somewhere. So we work on that. I help them to get where they want to be, and then they leave, which makes me sad. But I think that's normal and it's natural, right?
It's
Um,
healthy. It's
yeah,
definitely healthy.
yeah.
Yeah, I prefer it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't believe that there always has to be a goal and that you always have to work towards a goal, right? A lot of teachers like to talk about this, like, yes, we will set a goal and then we will do everything to get there, and I will help you get there, and you will reach that goal. But I don't believe this works for everyone, because some people just enjoy it. Some people just want to chat in
Yeah.
English. They don't need to hit some milestones. They just want to have this 1 hour or 2 hours per week for themselves, when they can enjoy themselves, they can speak about anything they want. So yeah, I would say that my students are divided into these two groups: someone who is really
Same.
focusing on something and who wants to get
Same.
somewhere, and then the second group where we just enjoy speaking in English and
And it's a
enjoy. Yeah,
nice balance for you as the teacher.
yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
because
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah.
some courses you really focus
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
goals,
exactly. Yeah,
and other courses you are simply uh, I think we're very similar in that way. From what I hear, you simply are an English speaking companion that spends time with the client. And often I become friends with people like this because they
yeah,
just like to talk to me, I like to talk to them, and yeah, they stay for quite a while.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's the same for me. This year I've been through so much with my students. Like, there were a lot of weddings and new children
Yeah.
and proposals, and yeah, a lot of good things happening. Also some sad things, some people passing away, family
Yeah.
members and relatives. So yeah, it's you get it all, the good things and the bad things as well, and that's what I think I actually enjoy about this job, that you're just a part of someone else's life
Yeah.
and you can share it with them.
In a very special way. I don't think there's another profession. It's not like a therapist, because we all, although sometimes we are
Yeah,
kind of
that's true, that's
therapists,
true, that's true.
especially when it comes to self-confidence and all these communication skills. But um, a therapist is there for a problem to solve, but we are there to accompany the client on their way through life while they are improving their English with us. Yeah, so
Yeah,
it's a very
exactly.
special role, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
exactly,
So,
exactly.
who are your typical clients? Is there a typical client that you
Yeah, everyone likes this question: who's your ideal client?
niching down, are you?
um sometimes I say that I like to teach men, but I also work with a lot of women. I would say it's like half an I probably have work with more men
Hmm.
now, but I also have a few female students. um but one thing that they all have in common is that they want to work on their English and they're motivated, um, even though they don't all have time for it. Maybe they have a lot of projects they're working on, they are busy, so not everyone can work on their English every day. Some clients I have just have this one lesson per week and that's it.
Hmm.
But I know that when we have the 60 minutes together, they are fully present. They, of course, yeah, sometimes you might need to like check your phone and pick it up if it's really urgent. But they're like really present. They are on time. If not, they send me a message, and
Mm.
it's a relationship where we really respect each other. And that's what I like about it. That it's not like working for a language school where they
Yeah.
get this one lesson per week paid by their employer, and they're like, okay, so yeah, I'm here. I don't want to use English. I hate it. I'm just here because I have to. That's not who I want to work with, and that's not what I think I would like quit teaching if I had to do this for more years.
I
So
always say that when people pay it themselves, or at least 50% of it, they are more motivated because it's their own money, right?
yeah, yeah. And I
Yeah.
also have students who like get this as a bonus from their employer, so they don't pay it for themselves, but or they don't pay it by themselves, but they are motivated. They want to work with me, and they are happy about the lessons. Of course, sometimes we just chat. It happens very often. We agree on discussing, I don't know, doing presentations or talking about numbers or some really specific topic they need for work, and then they just come and we spend it happened just this morning that I was talking to my client about his family and what they do at home and how it is going, because yeah, I think sometimes it's needed. And I don't agree that there has to be a goal for each lesson and you have to reach it and you have to do all the things that you plan. I think it should be natural, and it should be enjoyable for the student and the teacher as well.
And through these natural conversations, they learn so much more than if we did the true or false or gap fill exercises, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
of course, I'm not saying that like it's not needed. Of course, sometimes you need to do an exercise, you need to do some listening, you need to practice grammar. um, but I think it's like most of the lessons is usually just talking and discussing things that are going on in their lives, because yeah, I think
Mm-hmm.
that's what we like talking about, right? Our lives and what's going on with us, not
Yeah.
what John and Mary are doing in London. So
Or the Prokop's family in Mr.
oh yeah,
Peppermint's book.
I remember this one. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Um, I know that you focus on business English quite a bit. Is it because you mainly work with professionals from businesses, entrepreneurs? Who do you mostly work with?
Yeah, I don't even know how that happened. I think because the people work who are like managers or have higher position are also motivated a bit more to work on their English, and they really
Mm-hmm.
know they need it because they use it in
Yeah.
work. They use it to communicate with clients, with colleagues. If they are team leaders, they need to be able to communicate with their team and not feel ashamed of their English, because they want to be respected and have some sort of authority. So I think that, yeah, I think that's how it happened, that people who are really motivated and who want to improve and get better somehow find their way to me. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe because they also enjoy my approach. I'm not this
Mm-hmm.
like that's amazing, yeah, I have this worksheet and it's all pink and today it's gonna be great. It's just not me. Of course, I am positive during the lessons and I smile and laugh a lot. But I don't like this. I probably shouldn't swear, right? So I wanted to call it a BS, but uh, I'm not going to.
Fine.
uh, so yeah, I think that's
Like,
that's
oh,
how it
being
happened.
over positive and like too
Yeah, yeah,
not
yeah.
not realistic, let's say, not
Yeah, yeah,
realistic.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
Being
there has to be a
over positive.
good balance. I cannot imagine you not smiling, by the way, in the
Yeah, yeah,
lessons.
yeah. That's true. A lot of people tell me that, and I smile a lot, and I smile all the time. But it's not forced. I don't know. I just. Mm.
So how do you attract your clients? You just mentioned that you are not always sure how they find your way to you. How do they find their way to you if you, I suppose you ask them every time you meet a new client?
Huh? Huh?
How do you
Um,
attract the clients?
I'm thinking, like sometimes it's really random. Sometimes they
Hmm.
just, find me on Instagram or on Virtuální jazykovka, or we had this Clubhouse project, so some students found me thanks to our Clubhouse chats. So it's, yeah, I'm thinking probably a lot of people found me because someone else told me,
Word
told
of
them
mouth.
about me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
word
yeah,
of
yeah,
mouth.
yeah. Word of
Hmm.
mouth, that they recommended my service, and then we started working together. So I think that's probably most common. It used to be Instagram, but I'm not that active on Instagram now, so I don't really get any clients from Instagram anymore. That's just a completely different story. I just was fed up with Instagram, so I stopped posting things, but I will in the future. So one day I will get back to that. So I would
That's
say, yeah,
where I met you. That's where I
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
saw you. This
yeah,
girl
yeah.
with beautiful long red hair, explaining a lot of language issues in your videos, and that's how you got me hooked.
Yeah, yeah. I met a lot of friends, colleagues, and also some students thanks to Instagram. So yeah, I will get back to that one day. But for now, yeah, I would say it's mostly word of mouth or from other colleagues. I think it's
Hmm.
great that the community really works. That
Yeah,
a lot of teachers are open to this. And I do the same. I don't teach kids, so if someone comes to me and asks, yeah, can you teach my daughter or my colleague's son, and she's 6 or he's 12, I'm like, well, I don't really do that, but I can recommend a colleague who's great with children. So yeah, I can, I think this is also what works for me. And that's what I love about the community, about our club, but also about like teachers in general, that we really support each other, at least from my experience. I don't know how it works in other communities, or maybe some teachers would not agree with me, but I feel that we support each other and we have each other's back.
this is
So
always the better way to go, to support each other and not compete with each other. But there are
yeah,
also many people who would see you as competition. How could I recommend
yeah, of
somebody
course,
else?
of
It should
course.
all be mine.
Yeah, 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 of course. Some people will always do that, but I didn't believe that's the way to do it. So um, whenever there's a student who is not really a good match for me, uh, be it some younger kids or
Mhm.
something very specific like medical English, then I always have someone I can refer them, because yeah, yeah, I think it's a lot better when you give them a recommendation and that colleague might recommend you back. And also,
Exactly.
yeah, and also
It,
I don't want to like teach everything and teach everyone. I prefer to focus on something that, yeah, that works for me.
do you also teach preparation for exams, for the international exams?
I used to do that, but I don't
Mhm.
I don't do it anymore. I used to
Mhm.
do like some FCE prep. I think it's called B2 now or something. I think they changed the name of the exams, but yeah, I used to do some FC and CAE prep, but I don't do it anymore. Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't have any, and I think I haven't had anyone asking me about it in a while, because usually when people come to me and ask if they if they can do like FC or some sort of exam prep, then I tell them, okay, are you really sure you want it, and are you really sure you
Yeah,
need
true.
it? And like in 90% or maybe even in 100% cases, they just say, yeah, well, maybe not that much. And then when we really discuss it, most of them find out that they don't need to put a paper on their wall because their employer doesn't want it from them, right? Nobody wants it from them. And they can say, I have B2 or C1 level even without having some piece of paper for it.
Exactly. So you, just like me, you talk them out of it, right?
Yeah, yeah, that
Why do you
happens
think
very
people,
often.
why do you think people have that need to go to this official place and get a paper?
Um, I think it's at least that's my personal feeling that we are obsessed, like check people and check students, but yeah, not just like university students or young students, but all people in general are kind of obsessed with proving something to other people, and we need this piece of paper to show other people that, yeah, this is what I did. I have B2 level or C1 level. um I think that's very often the reason that they
Yeah.
feel or they think they need it, but actually they don't. I think there are not that many HR specialists who really want to see the paper. They just switch into the language and start talking.
That's it.
So
They end up putting it in the drawer and never taking it out, never ever using it. I
yeah,
think it's
exactly.
the obsession with authority. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
there
yeah,
is an official authority, and now it's on paper, so it must be that way. While, as we know, in reality, the situation can be very different.
yeah, yeah, that's true. But
Yeah,
the schooling system has worked this way for a really, really long time,
yeah,
right? This is the list of things you need to know, and then we'll test you on it.
yeah.
And at the end, you get some grade or you get some certificate or whatever. And then only after you go through all of this, then you can say you know it, right? So I think that's where this little obsession with the exams comes from.
So, what is your, if I may ask, what does your conversation look like in this situation? Like, what kind of questions do you ask people so that they arrive to the conclusion that they actually don't need it?
Uh-huh. Um, well, I think the basic question is, what do you need it for?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And once students answer this question, or once they think about it, because maybe up to that point they didn't even think about it. So once they think about it, they realize, yeah, okay, so what's the reason? Why do I need it? Well, I don't. And okay, so that's your answer. You don't need it, right? But of
I
course,
love that. I love that because it shows that teaching is very much about asking questions when it
yeah,
comes to the mentoring side of things. Yeah, it's so much about asking
definitely.
questions and should be much more than any university course about teaching will teach you. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
I agree with that 100%. And I think that these these certificates or exams can be useful, right, for a lot of people,
Hmm.
but it's always good to ask questions. And I do it with every student, not just when we talk about these exams, but I always ask, like, what's your goal, or like, why do you need English? Why do you
Yeah.
want to learn it? Right? I think that's the most important thing at the beginning, that you discuss what's the reason. And there doesn't have to be a reason, but it's also good, it's always good to put it out there. When someone says, yeah, I don't really have a goal, I just enjoy it, I just want to practice English, I just
I
want to
believe there's
improve it.
always a reason somewhere,
Yeah, deep
you know,
down, yeah, probably
deep
deep down
down.
there is some motivation, but yeah, for
Hmm.
a lot of people, I think it's just improving, just using it, improving, and that's how I approach it. I just
To
discuss
feel
different
better around
topics,
their
and
friends, around their
yeah, yeah,
colleagues, not to
exactly.
feel stupid in front of their kids. It's the social status thing.
Yeah,
Very
yeah,
often, when there is no boss telling you
yeah,
that you
yeah,
have to,
exactly.
you feel like, oh, I should. Like
Yeah,
there's this
exactly.
inner motivation, and that's much stronger in the
Yeah,
end than I have to pass an exam or my boss tells me, because then you really care about it. And
yeah.
us teachers are there to help along the way with the motivation. What do you do when the motivation drops? How do you go about that?
Yeah, that's a good question, because
Yeah.
I think that happens very
Hmm.
often, and more often than some teachers might want to admit. Um,
Yeah.
I think it's good take a look back and discuss if the student sees any progress,
Yeah.
and talk about the progress, because I think they don't really often see it, because the progress is usually slow, and it's not like no English at all, and then in 3 months you're fluent, right? Even though some um, miraculous methods on the internet promise this, they just doesn't work. So I think tracking the progress is important, and telling
Yes.
telling the students also.
Yeah.
So that's what I try to do. Though I don't praise them all the time, I believe that it should be somehow deserved. And this is just, again, this is my personal experience and feeling that some teachers overdo it. That they say, "That's great, well done, amazing, you did really great today." That they say it all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and then the student doesn't feel that it's something special, that they did something really well, because they hear it every 5 minutes, right? Like, well done, great. So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to give some feedback, and I also want to hear the feedback from my students. So we discuss the content of the lessons, and we discuss the progress together.
Amazing.
So I think that's well, not the only way to do it, but for me this is the way to do it, to always openly discuss it and track the progress, and yeah, get feedback. I give them feedback
Fantastic.
and they give me feedback as well.
How do you track progress?
um I would say that from time to time I take some topic or some exercise we did some time ago, and we
Mm-hmm.
again, right? And they see that they remember it, and they already know the words, or they know how it exists, know how it works, or that it exists. So that's for me
Mm-hmm.
one way that works, and that I think the students enjoy, because they can really see that all the time and all the effort is not for nothing. They can see that they really learn something. um and also I try to like really dig deep when it comes to them and interaction with other people.
Mm-hmm.
So very often they say, yeah, I can feel a lot more confident now.
Mm-hmm.
When we have some meetings, I understand a lot more. I really make them think about like specific situation. So my
Perfect.
question is
Yeah.
something like, um, think of the last meeting you had. Did you participate? Did you ask any questions? Did you understand? How much would you say you were able to understand? Was it like 50% or
Mm-hmm.
90%? And I
Mm-hmm.
can really see that it changes. That at the beginning, when we start working together, they say, yeah, I understood maybe 40%. I was confused. I was just listening, and I wanted to say something, but I didn't. And after a few weeks and months, they tell me, yeah, we had a meeting today. I raised my hand for the very first time. I made a few comments. We discussed it. I understood 90%. Even though I was a little bit confused, I was able to ask what's going on, and I didn't feel ashamed. So I think that's the real progress. I think that's what it's about. I never strive for perfection, though I am a perfectionist myself, but and a lot of my students are also perfectionists. But I'm trying to explain to them that being perfect is not the goal, and they are not linguists. They will never have to like write a book in English, or they will not be tested on it. So I always tell them mistakes are okay, mistakes are fine. You should be able to communicate. So that's, yeah, I basically teach communication, not
Mm-hmm.
being perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. I like that. And together we call this webinar Don't Be Afraid to Try. We are going to talk about it when it comes to freelancing and as teachers. But I can hear that you apply this to your teaching as well with your students.
yeah,
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 because
yeah.
otherwise they wouldn't be feeling that they make progress during these meetings. I suppose you do something in your lessons, something magical, so that they feel more confident.
I wouldn't say magical. For me, it's something completely normal
Hmm.
and natural, and I don't know how else it could be done. But at the same time, my students always tell me, "This is the best lesson I've ever had. I've never had a teacher like you. No one has ever done it this way." So I don't know how other people do it or what they say during the lessons. But I'm just trying to encourage my students. I'm trying to let them speak freely without any judgment, expressing their opinions without any judgment, right? It happens very often that I feel completely different about something, but at the same time, I think we can have a decent discussion. And we don't need to see eye to eye on everything.
Hmm.
Um, so that's what I feel is crucial for the lessons, and also that I give them feedback and constructive criticism. I would say, when they make a mistake, of course not straight away I say, you this was wrong, this was wrong, this was wrong, but we can talk about how it can be improved, and I
Hmm.
always make notes and then we discuss it together. Okay, so this doesn't really work in English, do you think there's a better way of saying this? So I think this is what works. I think this is how we learn, that we see that there were some mistakes and we can work on them, but at the same time not feeling like it's a bad thing to make these mistakes.
Would you consider yourself a language coach? As I'm listening to you, you are using so many principles of language coaching, and I know that you've been interested in
Yeah,
this, and it's a buzzword these days.
yeah,
Do
yeah.
you consider yourself a coach in a way?
um Yes, I use the principles of coaching, but I would not call myself a coach because I'm not so benevolent with my students. Like, I do give them homework when they
Hmm.
ask, "What can I do?" I say, "Do this or do that." Like, I always give them options. I always give them something to choose from.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I would not say I'm a coach. I use coaching principles.
Okay, all right, okay. Let's go back to freelancing. Uh, as I said, we decided to call this webinar "Don't Be Afraid to Try." Can you explain why, when it comes to freelancing, when we talked about you inspiring other teachers to do it their way, to be confident, why did you come up with this? Because it was originally your idea.
Mm, because I think this is a phrase I'm trying to live by.
Hmm.
And I have a lot of friends who do it the same way. I think this is what gets you through life, and what can make you explore new things and new opportunities. Because I see a lot of people who are very talented, who
Hmm.
are really great at what they're doing, and they could be doing so much more, but they're just afraid to try. They're afraid to apply for some job. They're afraid to go to a different country. They're afraid to start working on their new project or start their own business because there are some fears and some worries. But I think the worst thing that might happen is that it just won't work out, right? And of course, it's easy for me to say because I don't have any family to support. It's just me, right? So I don't have two or three kids. I don't have a mortgage. So of course it's always easier, but at the same time, when when if not now, right, when you're young,
Hmm.
if you're, I don't know, 25, 30, 35, when you still don't have so many responsibilities, I think it's good to try it and to not be afraid.
And were you always like this, or what helps you to step out of the comfort zone and invite the magic into your life? Was there a time when you weren't like this, or you were born this way as well?
Well, of course, there still are times when I really doubt myself, when I'm really insecure about a lot of things. I know there are still a lot of things I need to work on. I even feel insecure about my English very often because, it's not. perfect. Of course, I'm not a native speaker, so it will never be perfect, even though some people might argue about that. But yeah, it's having or C2 or reaching C2 level is not the same as being a native speaker, so there will always be that fear.
Mhm,
I know there are a lot of colleagues who have been doing it for longer time and they're a lot
mhm,
better at it, so
mhm,
of course there are always some fears and insecurities. But at the same time, there are a lot of people who are a lot worse than you, who are struggling a lot more. So I feel that this comparison is never healthy. I think you should do you. Of course, it's good to have some frame of reference, right, and see what other people are doing, but see it more as inspiration than
mhm,
something you should be doing too. And I used to be quite insecure when I was younger. I was
mhm,
insecure about a lot of things. I struggled with my body image for a really long time. I struggled with, yeah, comparing myself to others. But I think what really helped me with this was spending some time alone, right?
mhm,
Prioritizing, working out what is important for me, and also traveling was and still is something that always teaches me a lesson, and that inspires me, and that I would say makes me a better person. Because
mhm,
when you are in a and this happened when I first went to, yeah, I think when I first went to Spain for half a year. uh, being in a completely different country, not being able to speak the language, having to stand on your own feet and doing everything on your own, that really helped me grow. And that's also part of this. Don't be afraid to try, because there were a lot of people who didn't even apply, who didn't even try to go abroad, study abroad. I don't know, who didn't go for different. When I was a uni student, there were a lot of different programs and internships and scholarships for different things. So yeah, I applied for a lot of things, and I did a lot of things and visited a lot of countries. So I think that's what really helped me grow and become more confident and less insecure.
Yeah, you strike me as a person who just simply says yes to challenges. Am I right?
Yeah, I would say so. And I think I get this from my brother, because I
Mhm,
have an older brother who
mhm,
always inspires me and also pushes me to do new things. It's always
mhm,
been like that, and we really support each other. So even though I don't have a partner, I have a huge support system, and that's my family. My family has always been so supportive. My parents and also my grandparents and my brothers. So that's huge motivation for me. And yeah, he's
mhm,
always pushed me, to do something, to try something. When you think
mhm.
of this scene from movies where the older sibling comes up with super silly idea and then the younger one does it, that's basically us. Like,
Okay.
there's a huge hill, like, let's cycle down, and I'm like, yay, let's do that.
Okay, that's
Mm,
great. And you would agree that magic happens outside of the comfort zone, I suppose.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
totally.
Definitely. Most
Yeah.
I would say most of the good stories I have that I can share
Yeah, and
happen
the
happened like
progress
this.
that we make in life, I see so many milestones in my life where I had to step out of my comfort zone and it just threw me to the next level
Yeah,
straight away.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. So
uh,
don't be afraid to say yes to challenges. Yeah, even when you're scared shitless. Oh,
yeah,
yes.
exactly.
Because we're human, we are all scared. Uh, and it's just how we approach the situation,
Yeah,
right?
definitely. I agree with that. Yeah, and also because I'm an interpreter, I have to be able to do this.
Yeah.
Of course, it's super scary to stand in front of so many people and interpret, and especially when you're working with Czech and English, right? Because
Hmm.
so many people feel like they know it, they understand it, and they will be like, yeah, but she didn't say this, she didn't say that, because they have no idea how interpreting works, and that this is actually the key to leave some things out, some things that are not important or that the speaker repeats again and again and again. So you change the speech a little bit, but you do. But there are some people who have the tendency to show off and to tell you that you're not doing it right. If you do it in different language, I tried it in Russian a few times and they don't understand it, so they would not do it. But in English, it might happen. So it takes a lot of courage to go
Hmm.
there, and when you see the room with a few, sometimes even like 200, 300 people or more, right? And you have to interpret something that's really stressful. But that's what I love about it, because you focus on what you're doing, you focus on your job, and you
Hmm.
forget about all the people. This method of picturing everyone naked, I think that's I think that's
Yeah.
nonsense, because I don't do that, because my brain just doesn't have capacity for imagining everyone imagining everyone naked.
No time for it. I gotta
Yeah.
interpret here.
Exactly.
Okay. Very cool.
So yeah, that's also what taught me to get out of my
Mm.
comfort zone,
Hmm.
and to feel more confident,
Yeah.
because you have to, right? You can't be there shaking and hesitating. That just yeah, that just wouldn't work.
And as you mentioned, traveling really helps, right? Because we
Yeah.
are in all these situations where something bad can happen and we have to figure it out, especially if we are by ourselves. And we learn so much about ourselves, right?
Yes,
So you
exactly.
travel a lot and you stay in other countries and teach from there a lot. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that works for you?
Hmm. Yeah, that also, like, I did it a few times this year.
Hmm.
I sometimes I go with someone who can also work online. I went to Austria with my friends, who's a teacher slash translator as well, so we worked from there. Then I went to Italy with my friend who is a scientist, but she does a lot of programming and she works online most of the time as well. So yeah, I think that works well if you have stable internet connection, and
Hmm.
if you
Very
if
important.
yeah, and also if you pick a room, or like Airbnb or hotel, hostel, whatever, but there has to be some space where you can work,
Yeah.
right? I have a really good headset, so I don't really mind some noises in the background and so on, because this works well. So even if there are some people talking, or I don't know, cars, or something making noise, it's okay. But yeah, the environment that you choose should be pleasant, and so
Has it ever happened to you that you were very disappointed by the accommodation and had to figure out a different one?
um not really, because I when I travel, I like to keep it low cost, and I
Hmm.
like this kind of punk traveling, I think we could call it. I'm not really into fancy hotels, or expensive, glamorous Airbnbs. That's not really my thing. So I'm completely okay with just having a bed, and or sleeping on a mattress that's not even, on a bed, it's on the floor. I don't mind that. As long as I have a table and
The
okay
internet
share.
connection,
Yeah.
internet connection. So it never happened to you that you arrived at a place and the internet connection wasn't good?
Mm, not really, because if this happens, then I know I have to find a different solution.
Yeah.
So I always like prepare for that. I have a lot of data. I have unlimited data on my phone, so I can use my phone. Or I try to find a different place. Like, I try to go to a cafe which is not noisy. I try to find a
Hmm.
restaurant which is not busy. I try to, like, because I have a lot of friends abroad, I try to like ask the friend, okay, so if I stay at your place, can I work there as well? Or do you
Hmm.
have a room or a place where I can work? So this is what I believe is the most important thing, to really do a little bit of research and prepare for that. It's not, these pictures that you can see, someone puts a laptop on the table at the beach, and you can see the beach and the sea in the background. I think that's complete nonsense, because if you're sitting outside, it's 40 degrees. It's just you're not
And
able
you don't want
to
to be
work.
working on the beach,
Yeah,
right?
exactly,
Who wants to be
exactly.
working on the beach? I want to, yeah, swim and read a book.
Exactly. So this is something that looks good on Instagram, but it
Yeah.
doesn't actually work.
Mhm,
But yeah, for
mhm.
example, when we were in Austria, we had this outside office because there was this table on the balcony and there was beautiful, gorgeous view. You could see the cows there and those tiny houses and the mountains, and it was in the spring, so everything was blooming, and that was really hard because I couldn't focus. I was always like doing something on my laptop, and then I caught myself just staring outside and just watching what's going on. And my colleague was the same. We were always making fun of each other because we were like working for 10 minutes and then
Yeah,
watching what's going on for
yeah.
another 20
And
minutes.
I remember that picture. You
Oh,
posted that
yeah,
picture.
yeah, yeah. And that was actually a realistic one. That was really my office for a few days. So
That's not an ideal office because you couldn't focus.
yeah,
We need to focus on our work. We totally
yeah.
need to focus. Yeah. All right. Okay. Well, can I pick your brain with one more topic?
Yeah, for sure.
And that's pricing.
Mm-hmm.
Would you be willing to share with us how you go about it inside of you? Because I think pricing is an inside job for sure. It's not that, okay, this is what, everybody charges, so let's charge that. We know it doesn't work that way. Yeah. How do you
Mm-hmm.
go about it?
Um, okay, so let me think. Where do I want to start?
Yeah.
I think when it comes to pricing, knowing your value is
Mhm.
the most important thing, and not asking yourself the question, would I pay this? Right? Because I'm not my ideal client. I'm not someone who is a manager who has a higher position in some company, who really needs English or some language, right? I I probably would not pay for the service so much or the price that I see somewhere. If I see someone offering, I know if someone offered me lessons of Russian for, I don't know, like 50 euros, and they would sell it, yeah, you will be able to speak fluently without any mistakes. And so I would say, yeah, but that's not really, what I'm looking for. That's not really what I need. So I think this is crucial to not
Mhm.
compare yourself
Mhm.
to your ideal client.
Mhm.
And also no, yeah, no, knowing your value, as I said. And I had a great teacher when I was studying uni, who often told us that we should not go under the prices that are on the market. And I always do that with translating and interpreting, and I'm trying to use the same approach when it comes to teaching.
Mhm.
And I made a promise to myself that I will never ever go below certain prices, even if it means that I have to do something else, right? So I can live quite a low cost life because I'm not a person who spends so much money on like new iPhones and new shoes. That's not really me, though I do buy quite a lot of like things for cycling and skiing. That's a that's a completely different story. Um, but what I wanted to say is that I'm okay with doing some job that I don't really enjoy, that or that's not 100% fulfilling for me, but I will never accept something that is below the standard rates, or that is below my rate that I chose for myself. And if I always say to myself and to my friends that if I wanted to do that, I could be an employee. It would be
Mhm.
so much easier. Yeah, of course, it is easier. You just come to work, you know that you will get some amount of money, and at the end, well, at the beginning, I don't know when does it
Usually
come?
in the middle of the next
Yeah.
month.
Okay, so at some point you get the amount of money you agreed on. You know what you have to do. You know what your employee or your employer or your boss tells you to do. So of course I could do that, but I chose not to. I chose I think it's more difficult, so I chose the more difficult way.
Hmm.
And I'm on it now, so I don't want to make compromise when it comes to money, when it comes to prices, because I think when you make the compromise once, you will just keep doing it, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it happened to me so many times that someone said, okay, but your service or what you're offering is just too expensive for us. And I just say, okay, so then find someone else who will do it. Because I know if I made that compromise once, I would just do it again and again and again.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah, that's basically my mindset. I think it's been really helpful
Hmm.
to think about it this way. And yeah, I'm not ashamed to say that I did other things this year, you know, like for example when I was in Austria, I'm also a ski instructor, so that's what I was doing. And it was not just because it was not because I really needed the money, it was just because I enjoy it as well. But it was a nice combination, you know, to have a few
Hmm.
lessons online, to translate a few pages, and then talk to other people and teach them how to ski in Russian. So that was
Balance.
completely, yeah.
Balance, balance. Yeah. I
No,
believe when we figure out the balance in our life, that's what brings us happiness, not money, not like big work accomplishments, but this balance. And
yeah.
you seem like you are quite good at it.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say I have it all figured out. Like, definitely not. Sometimes people tell me that I seem like I have it all together, and I know exactly what I'm doing and everything's going on so well. And I'm okay with admitting that it's not always perfect, right? I don't know what I'm doing very often. It happens to me that I forget about something, I mess something up, I don't really handle some communication with someone the way I wanted to, you know. Sometimes I like set some price and then think, okay, maybe that should have been higher, you know. Like, of course I don't have it all figured out. Very often I have no idea how to do it, but yeah, I try it somehow because I'm as we mentioned, I'm not afraid to try, and I hope that it will work out somehow. And yeah, it's been working for me, so we'll see what happens in the future.
Yeah, I'm curious, and I hope that I can observe your path for many years to come. I am a big fan of yours, as you know, and always here to support you. I think it's incredible what you're doing, and it seems that your default setting is quite healthy. So. Although you still don't have kids and family and mortgage and all these things, I'm sure that one day when you decide to maybe go more stable and do some other things in life, you'll be fine. I'm sure of it.
Oh, that's so nice to hear. And yeah, I believe it will come, right? Right now I'm enjoying the flexibility
Yeah.
that my schedule changes a lot. It's every week is different, right? Sometimes I have a lot of lessons, sometimes I have less because some students are busy or go on holiday. Sometimes I translate, sometimes I have no translations at all. So it really depends, and I'm enjoying that. And I think one day it will come when I will probably want to, you know, like work from 9 to, let's say, 4, and really want to have something stable, especially with kids. I think it's good to have some stability and some fixed schedule. But for now, I'm enjoying it this way, and I really love that I can be part of the club, and that I can get some inspiration from other colleagues, especially those who have been doing it for a really long time and who are very experienced. Because this is something that this is probably the biggest disadvantage for me of being self-employed and being a freelancer, that you don't have a boss, that you don't have,
Yeah.
well, I wouldn't call it a boss, I would call it a supervisor.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if you start in a company and it's a junior position, you have someone who's more experienced and who really knows what they're doing, who you can go to for advice, and you have someone to discuss all the issues with and learn from them. And this is something that I've been struggling a bit, because when you're a freelancer you have to do it all on your own,
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
have to, if you want to learn something, you really have to decide that you will learn it. There's not anyone pushing you to do it.
Yeah.
Or if you struggle with something, you have to figure it on your own, figure it out how to do it and what to do about it. So that's probably one of the disadvantages. But that's why I am part of your club. That's why I'm part of Virtuania Sikovka. That's why I try to um, be in contact with the other not just teachers but freelancers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I
Mm-hmm.
think it's it's necessary to just be surrounded by people who do the same or similar thing and who are also a lot better than you. I'm not ashamed to like openly discuss some things with someone who I know has it all figured out or is like a lot better at it or a lot more experienced, because I know I can learn a lot from them.
That's amazing. And Ivy, we are always here for you. I'm so happy that you became a part of our community because you're also very helpful. You're very active, helping others when they are not sure about something. So it goes both ways. And I believe that's the best way to go about this. We are here for each other. As I always say, stronger together. And as freelancers, we can feel very lonely and sometimes lazy, and it's hard to find the motivation. We are not robots, as you said. We are only
Yeah.
human, but we are here for each other. And I am so happy that internet exists, and we can all be connected even if we are not in the same location. You are in Prague or sometimes in Austria or Italy. We are all around the world, and this beautiful thing called internet helps us to connect and support each other. So I'm sending a big virtual
Oh.
hug to you. And thank you so much for sharing a little bit from your teaching and freelancing life, and inspiring us to be strong, to stay strong, and yeah, to stay who we are, because
Yeah.
that's what matters the most. And the right people will join us in our efforts. And no matter what price, back to all the things that you said about pricing, fantastic. The right people will appreciate, and it's like you don't go to a jeans shop, for example, and say, hey, that's too expensive, and the salesperson would say, okay, you can have it for less money. That never happens. So why should we apply it to our services? So I love
Yeah.
that what you said about not compromising.
Yeah, definitely. I sometimes give this example to when some colleagues, are discussing like pricing and should I do this, should I do that. I always give them this example of going to a fast food restaurant or like super fancy restaurant who has like Michelin star, right? Because
Hmm.
going to a fast food restaurant, yeah, you get some food, your belly is full and you are somehow satisfied with it, but there will not be a waiter coming to you asking, how was it, can I do anything else for you, what would you like, right? On the other hand, if you go to a fancy restaurant where, yeah, of course you pay more for it, but it's an experience,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
It's something you enjoy. You go there, you really pick something you like. You can have something really specific, and of course you pay more for it, but at the same time you will be a lot more happier when you're leaving. So no,
I love
that's
that analogy. Well done. Very nice one. Very nice one. Ivy, any final words that you'd like to share with us before we say goodbye?
um I don't know if there should be some deep thought at the end. No, I just would like to say thank you for having me. Thank you for doing this interview with me. I really enjoyed it. I
Same.
hope that the people who were watching this or who will watch this or listen to it in the future will enjoy it as well. And my sort of last message is just don't be afraid to try, because I think that's yeah, that's what can make you really happy in your life.
And successful, because success
That as
is
well.
something inside that we all feel in different ways. And you have a pretty good recipe for that. So thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for taking the time off your busy schedule to be here with us. And I wish you all the best. And maybe we can do another interview in a couple of years and see how it goes. What do you say?
Yeah, for sure. Why not?
Cool. Okay, thank you everybody for watching. If you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask in the comments. And Ifcha is both in our club and on LinkedIn. If it went through, I'll see now when we're done, because it's the first time I'm doing this. So let's see.
We'll see.
And
Hopefully.
I'll tag you on LinkedIn as well. And please feel free to get in touch with either of us if you're interested in more wisdom, and we'll be there to keep you company for a little bit. So have a wonderful day, everyone. Have a wonderful day, Ivy, and I'll see you in the club. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Take care.
Ciao.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye. Bye.